trying to figure out why the monitor is pretending. Unless I'm hearing the audio through your channel. Monitor is pretending. Unless I'm hearing the audio through.
Okay, I'm feeding back. It looks like.
Ahoy! Ahoy, divers, and welcome back. And ahoy, Laggin and Legion, if you can hear me. Ahoy, divers.
I'm not sure what happened there, but I'm still feeding back. I need to figure out why. Oh, oh. Let me go over here. I had Kick unmuted for some reason.
Before.
There we go.
Okay.
Much better.
So, ahoy Twitch, ahoy YouTube, ahoy Rumble. And if you're watching us on Kick, ahoy Kick.
Hello, Laggin Legion. This is Hiro. I've got Mariner with you, with us here today. He already introduced himself.
Mojo says now your audio's gone. But that might be before.
That's a little bit. We had to rewind into time.
Okay.
I got all my monitors picking up now. I was watching closely because I made that bozo move last couple of weeks.
It's coming in like some old speakers. Okay, you talk, I'll fix.
Yeah, your audio is a little bit muffled, I think is the word for it. Hey, tired of streaming to zero? How about I'm tired of bots? There we go. But welcome. Thank you for joining us, Mojo. And thank you for all you other folks that like to watch us. Much love and respect. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. I need to remember where that was.
How's this, Mojo? Is this any better?
Actually, I'm going to run this over here.
That's why I was concerned about having audio issues during the. No, still not better. Okay, well you. Oh, what would cause this? Filter. I have no filters running.
What source is your OBS pulling from?
Oh, that would be doing it.
I asked that because I noticed that my sources automatically change because the shocks. When you turn them off, it automatically.
Yeah, mine are not supposed to. I consistently. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not OBS time. It was Discord, but I should be coming through a lot better now.
Much, much better. You actually sound crystal clear.
Okay, good. Thank you, Discord, once again for causing discord. Okay. So,
For causing
anyways,
discord. Yes.
Zelda, Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Last week we dropped off at. Do you remember, Mariner?
We
Were
were,
we?
I think, talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff because we had talked about like the game developer. We had mentioned game developer
Oh yeah.
conferences, mentioned
Yes, I think we were talking.
picks from
Were we
the.
talking about gameplay? I think we were going to pick up there.
We had covered a little bit of gameplay, I think. Um, I'm trying to find where we left off in the fandom wiki for Zelda,
Because I'm
but
looking at it right now.
the format is different than I remember from last week, so I'm a little confused. But I was thinking we could talk about the graphics of Skyward Sword.
We could do that. I know. I think I might have flirted a little bit with controls. I think I would like to pick up with gameplay if you're okay with it.
Yeah, go for it. While you do that, I will see if I can find the link you
Yes.
sent me last week.
And if nothing else, I can just drop it to you again. Because we do talk a lot.
Back. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Anyways, go ahead and pick up. I'll do some.
All right, so I'm gonna go off the script of the wiki because that's how I am. So the gameplay, the controls, when first released, Skyward Sword was entirely motion controlled with the option of using a GameCube controller to plug into it. The motion controls tend to not be well liked by the general public as a whole, or most Zelda fans. I found them fantastic. The idea of using a separate control stick with a remote control that you could point at your TV and possibly with a little bit of soldering use for your TV. This bad boy, you swing the remote around, and if you swung in a horizontal fashion, you would have a horizontal slice. If you swung in a vertical
Hiro,
fashion,
I think you are displaying the wrong screen. Either that or my Twitch is locked up.
Oh, wait, what?
Because what we see on your screen, on your login out. Oh, there we go. Okay, maybe my computer locked it.
That was
It's correct now.
Did I have something hovering over the screen and not realize it? Hold on.
At some point, I think you had wiki up accidentally.
Oh, it has an okay, that's my fault. It's a capture, a screen capture for this window. Let me jump over to Streamlabs real quick, and I gotta find that media.
You had it a minute ago, and then you clicked something, and it came back.
Yeah, it was the window. The window. There's an automatic window capture that popped up. My bad. Thank you for catching that. I am not a streamer by default, if you can't tell.
Can't tell at all. Sarcasm.
But anyways, I was saying if you swing the remote in a horizontal fashion, the sword would conduct a horizontal slice. If you swung up and down or down and up, the sword actually would follow the angle of your swings. You could do a diagonal swing, you could do a vertical swing, a horizontal swing, you could even swing from under the shield up in a diagonal. The motion controls were that intelligent. So I enjoyed the motion controls, and actually, if you held the remote out in front of you and turned the remote, the sword, like Link would do the exact same thing, turn his sword just like so, you know. And it was really, in my opinion, very neat at the time. I loved it. The shield was controlled by the nunchuck. You could actually press the button and he would raise the shield. or there's a shield button that you could press and you would raise it, and if you just quick move the nunchuck, that's what the control stick part was called. If you push the nunchuck fast rapidly, he would do a shield bash. So the controls were relatively intuitive based on what you were doing.
Be the only reason I would get VR is to be able to get into a sword fight, says Mojo. And the Hori Gazoo.
Hey there, Gazoo. What's up, my dude? Just me and Mariner today. Hope that's enough for you. I'm just playing. But yeah, the VR. I'm sorry. Were you reading from somebody else's?
Yeah, Mojo said that.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I actually could see VR being a thing for this game, but so far Nintendo has yeah, I can't blame you, Mojo. My heart was broken when I heard that he passed. Um, considering the lifestyle he led, it's amazing that he outlived a lot of people. Um, anyways, before we rabbit trail on that one, um, yes, thank you for lurking, Kaori. I know you come to listen to us talk about crazy things in various video games. But yeah, this is not actually VR. This is actually, well, I don't think VR really was much of a thing when this game came out. This was 2011, I want to say.
I believe so.
Yeah.
At least that was the last E3 we had before we got into other things. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Scrolling back up to the top really quick. 2021. No, sorry. Too far down. What? 2011. Yes, you were correct. November in the United States, November in Japan. Yeah, November all over the world. Just different days.
Yep. So that being said, the motion controls were nifty and pretty, how do you say, revolutionary. You could use the shield bash to reflect projectiles back at enemies. It was the predecessor to the perfect block of Breath of the Wild, I think. It would you could also, using the nunchuck as your tool, like as a bow or a slingshot, and then you would aim with your remote, and it would be just like if you were using a real bow and arrow. The difference being you'd use the trigger on the remote to release the string to fire your projectile. There's a whole bunch of things that utilize the motion controls. That would probably be about the conclusion of the controls portion of the gameplay. The overworld, I explained briefly last week. The overworld was actually the sky and a couple of floating landmasses in the sky, and then your dungeons would be accessed through areas where the clouds would part, and you would drop down to the surface of the planet through those locations where the clouds parted. So it kind of this was something that the developers had mentioned. They wanted to get away from too wide open of a world, and they wanted to kind of mitigate that a little bit of that time exploring, which many people, I feel like that takes away from the Zelda experience. I 100% personally believe that exploration is a big part of Zelda games. Before I run off too far on a tangent there, what do you think? They're just referencing the motion controls and the fact that they wanted to get away from too much of an open world.
Yeah, open world is kind of one of the key aspects of the Zelda games. Personally, I had trouble after I found out that there were maps online for games. I kind of like lost interest in just exploring.
Oh,
Um, but there are um, it's not just like either the maps aren't available and I just kind of have to keep going on the path,
mm.
or if there are my
Well,
problem is I need direction when I'm playing,
I
and
can understand that.
so this is why purely open world, purely sandbox games don't really appeal to me, because I need to have a goal. I need to have a direction to follow. That's one of
Mhm.
the reasons why when the first time I started Breath of the Wild, I'm like, okay, I have infinite directions to go. I have 360 degrees to turn and pick a direction to go in. Which way do I want to? Which way should I go for the story? And so I just kind of wandered about, found a guy, talked to the guy, and went, huh, okay, he's pointing me in a direction. I'll go that way, and then immediately lost interest. So I'm trying to be better. Also, exploration means loot, and Mojo's teaching me loot goblin techniques and things like that. So
So,
I'm trying
before
to be a better gamer,
yeah, yeah,
I guess.
that's fair. That's very fair. So Mojo here mentioned, because I referenced VR. Mojo says no, VR was still in beta back then. I think she was mentioning responding to Mojo who said 76, or not Mojo, but Gazoo who said 76. I think Gazoo was talking about Ozzy Osbourne there. But then Kiori says VR started in 2010, but it really kicked off in 2012. And Mojo counters with the first true head-mounted VR headset came out in 1968. It was called the Sword of Damocles. And then she goes on and says, give me all the open world sandbox games. I love exploration and hidden treasures. And to that I say, fellow Luke Goblin, targeted.
Yeah.
Or found. Because I am 100% like that with loot goblining, and treasure goblin ain't got nothing on me. But that being said, I can understand that, and I might have a solution that I'd be willing to share with you while when given the chance. I have
Okay.
I have a compendium for Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, I like compendiums.
Compendium to itself. Like they have the compendiums for items for Zelda games, and compendiums for arts and weapons, and a compendium for the history. Well, Breath of the Wild gets its own compendium.
Oh, jeez.
It is a full
That big of
size.
a game, it's got its own compendium.
Yeah, it is a full size like traditional encyclopedia book unto itself.
Nice. Mojo says maps are only good for making sure I didn't miss anything after.
I'm like
And
that.
ahoy soda pop.
What up, Soda?
But we should probably move on to some of the content we wanted to do this week.
Absolutely.
So graphics is the first thing that we're going to cover. And to quote the fandom Zelda game, or fandom Zelda fandom wiki, graphically the title incorporates mixture of the Wind Waker and the Twilight Princess, cell
Oh.
shading and realistic elements, the former in relation to the overworld and the latter in respect to Link's appearance and weaponry. However, in the September 2010 issue of Nintendo Power, Aonuma mentioned that neither style contributed to the choice of art styles, and they simply chose it since the developers are focusing on swordplay, meaning that they wanted to make the swordplay accessible and clear to the user.
Mm.
Cel-shaded versions of enemies such as Octoroks, Dekubabas, and Bokoblins were apparent during the gameplay at the conference in order to further explain the motion capabilities of the sword with Wii Motion Plus and the weapons during combat. In terms of the overworld, an open forest-like area was shown that houses a large central tree and a multitude of colorful attributes such as mushrooms, foliage, and even temple-like entrances along the area's walls. Skyward Sword's unique visual style was inspired by Miyamoto's love of Impressionism, and the skies in the game are a tribute to, what is that, Cezanne?
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like it's Cezanne. Plenty of visual cues to identify enemy attacks and weaknesses will be given, and since full realism wouldn't work for these kinds of cues, the game developers decided that the best way to do so was to over-exaggerate the character designs.
Jump down to the graphics just to make sure. I apologize.
I
Impressionism.
spelled that name right.
Oh, he was referencing a specific artist. That's why.
Yeah.
And I would not have been able to pronounce that name either. Uh,
Okay.
so, audio, just to key in on some points on the audio, if you're familiar, well, most everybody's familiar that a lot of different consoles in the last however many years, their controllers had onboard speakers built into them. The Wii remote was no different, had a speaker right in the middle of it, and that speaker would cue with just like if you were expecting the controller to be a lightsaber, a mock-up lightsaber, and it makes the sound effects of the lightsaber, the Wii remote would react and make sword sounds, the metal on metal sounds as you would slice through the air, go swing, swing, swing. And even
You
like
get tank
yep,
when
you
you
would
hit
get
it.
that.
Ooh.
Yep, yep. And that was from the Wii directly though. Thing a little different now that it's ported over to the Switch, but that's okay. That's okay. Some of the gimmicks that Nintendo was on had to change, I guess.
Not all gimmicks work out in the end.
Unfortunately. Um, so right to pick up with the wiki, the fandom wiki, Skyward Sword has been confirmed to be fully orchestrated, with Miyamoto stating that Nintendo couldn't do what it did with Galaxy 2 and not do the same with the next Zelda. So he was referencing Super Mario Galaxy 2. They did a full-blown orchestra for all of the musical numbers in the game for Super Mario Galaxy 2, and decided to do the same for Skyward Sword. Now, again, Skyward Sword was the 25th anniversary game for The Legend of Zelda, and I think we might have mentioned before that every um, every single game copy of Skyward Sword in the game case also came coupled with an audio CD that was an album or was the soundtrack to the game in full orchestra. So they hired
Ooh.
an actual full-blown orchestra, and I, by the way, still do have that. um, might not have my Wii anymore, but I made sure to keep all of my Zelda games that I could. Um, so, anyways, uh, at an IGN interview with Alnuma, he states that the question whether to use orchestrated music had still not been answered by the time E3 had come around. Moreover, he stated that he was actually surprised at Miyamoto's response during the roundtable, saying that he hasn't had the chance to talk to Miyamoto for his approval, and that he might tell Alnuma that he was just joking around. I mean, some of these creatives, not to poke too much fun at Soda, even though I'm going to poke all the fun at Soda later. Creatives tend to be pretty wishy-washy. um. Anyways, in an Iwata asks interview with Super Mario Galaxy composer Mahito Yokota, it was confirmed again that the game's music would be orchestrated. According to Yokota, Shigeru Miyamoto had said that adding orchestrated music for Skyward Sword's E3 2010 showing was not necessary at the time. But at the end of the summer, they decided to add in orchestral music, and Yokota joined the development team. In other words, Miyamoto was asked, and he just made the decision right then and there, we're going to do this. So everybody else, in order to prevent themselves from having egg on their faces, just fell in line.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you would like, you may take it from there.
Oh, so this is next segment here is particularly of interest to Hiro, and he mentioned it during our Zelda universe timeline recap episodes at the beginning of the series. Timeline placement. Woo. Skyward Sword's in-game story establishes itself as the first game in the known Zelda timeline, exploring the beginning of the battle between good and evil within the legend and establishing its key players. Wow. Princess Zelda as the incarnation of Goddess Hylia, Link, the incarnation of the legendary hero chosen by the goddesses, and Ganon as the manifestation of the Demon King Demise's hatred. Eiji Aonuma had already confirmed during the game's development that in terms of the Zelda timeline, Skyward Sword comes before Ocarina of Time, which was later confirmed in the timeline published in Hyrule Historia when it was placed before the Minish Cap and Four Swords. Aonuma did, however, state that Skyward Sword will not necessarily always be the first entry in the chronology, giving the possibility for future games to occur earlier.
So to tease a little bit on a later game, I will also state that Tears of the Kingdom, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, also brings into question events in the timeline. It muddies the water, I would say, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily. It also doesn't necessarily expressly state that or call out any specific placement in the timeline. It doesn't really necessarily reference where events take place, but it implies that there's a lot of implications because Twilight Princess, Tears of the Kingdom kind of introduces a different another race of beings in Hyrule, and it implies that they existed. It implies that their race existed on Hyrule before the humans / Hylians existed in Hyrule. It's heavily implied. And it also is heavily implied that the other races predate humans in this world as well. So it kind of muddies the waters. It calls into question where Skyward Sword takes place in relation to that game. But that's a conversation for later. And probably, hopefully, maybe, possibly after you've had the opportunity to get some gameplay in them.
Yeah, we're talking about a couple different ways I can do some gaming on that. So we'll see. It might. I'm still busy with Satisfactory, but I might be equipped to stream some Zelda here in a few weeks.
I'll make sure to keep that in mind.
Yes. In the meantime, do we want to get into the speedrun records at all?
I don't care about
or is
speedruns.
that okay?
I
That
personally don't
simplifies
care about
that.
speedruns.
I don't really either. It's a thing. There's a small group, a small. I don't know if it's a small percentage, but there's a few people who like to do speed runs of games. Some games allow speed running, other games do not. I'm not usually one to play the games that can be speed run, but I've played a few games where speed running was a thing.
And it
Mojo, do you
just,
know of anyone who speed ran Mass Effect, or if that's one that can be speed run?
yes, but
I don't
no.
know. That's the only game I'm thinking of at the moment that could be speed run that I've played recently.
That's a very yes but no situation.
Well, we'll move on here. So, reception for Skyward Sword,
Yes, the
according
reception.
to Zelda Wiki, Zelda? Wow, Zelda Fandom Wiki. The game
Correct.
received universal acclaim, gaining a Metacritic rating of 93 out of 100. It obtained a perfect score from IGN, 10 out of 10, 98% from the UK official Nintendo magazine. It is tied with Ocarina of Time 3D for the magazine's highest ever review score. However, GameSpot rated it lower than previous games in the series, giving it a score of 7.5 out of 10. Fans have praised the new combat system, but complained about free roaming in the sky. Ooh, there's a song title for you, Gazoo. Saying it lacked more interesting places to explore. In addition, the game has been criticized for being too linear. Ooh, actually,
Yeah.
that sounds kind of like my kind of style.
Yeah, it is
Um,
a very, very, and Mojo says, yes, it has been speedrun. Yeah, I figured. It's not really made for speedrun though. That's just my opinion though. Um, but that's note to some of the commentary that I provided previously, how they previous or how the developers had stated that they wanted to try and get away from a little bit away from the exploration aspect of things. And that right there is why they should not have.
it backs up your argument. Yeah.
Yeah. um,
Sales, the game sold. Go ahead.
yeah. So to that point, I enjoyed it. I wonder because obviously I'm like a big Zelda fan. I wonder if if the modern mariner uh would be into Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. In
I'm feeling
truth,
called out.
well, I wonder because you made commentary about how ever since finding the maps online became a thing, you kind of lost a little bit of patience for exploration.
Yeah. I've been a good boy so far with what when I did dial up Breath of the Wild, I did not immediately call up a game map.
No, and that's perfectly fine. The cool thing is while Breath of the Wild is very much dependent upon exploration, and there is a lot.
You're being called out by Kiori.
Mojo
She got you a Zelda fan, eh?
says, Mojo says, I recently found out that Grounded has been speedrun, which to me is wild given how much there is. And then Kiori, you a Zelda fan, right? um. Anyways, uh, to point out, Breath of the Wild is very much dependent on exploration. You have, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of shrines to find, locate, and solve the puzzles in to increase your heart count and increase your stamina. You have lots of exploration to find alternate costumes, which changes your armor rating based on what weapons you use, etc., etc. Breath of the Wild is very dependent upon exploration. And then alternatively, Tears of the Kingdom a little bit less so because it's exactly the same map with some added zones, one of which is massive, but that's beside the point. um,
So even if you're on the same map, you're in a new game, and so therefore there are new things to find.
yeah, to a degree, you have the entire overworld map is replicated in a fashion, and I'll leave it at that so as to not spoil anything.
Got it. Okay.
But
So
I just wanted to point out that exploration is kind of a big deal, and finding things is kind of very big deal in Zelda games. But yeah, sales. I'll go ahead with that. The game sold over 2 million copies worldwide on the month of release. As of March 2012, the game had sold 3.52 million copies worldwide. So
that's roughly what started September. Let's see, November of something 2011 to March of 2012. That's 4 months. That's pretty good.
yeah, that's
Three and a half,
some very
3.5 million copies. That's cool.
some very hot numbers, if at least in my opinion, and that's very much that's within the vein of Zelda games in general.
Yeah. Then we
Let's see,
had fan reception.
not a whole.
Wow, this is actually a recent. Wow, I didn't know this channel was actually around that long ago. Okay, so sorry. It says Watch Mojo. I watched some of that. Placed Skyward Sword at the number 8 spot in their top 10 Legends of Zelda games of all time list countdown, and at the number 10 spot is part of their every major Legend of Zelda game ranked video over on Mojo Plays. The completionist ranked Skyward Sword as his ninth best Legend of Zelda game of all time in his top 10 Zelda games list countdown. Wow, really? That's all we get for fan reception, huh? Is a couple of
Yeah, that's kind of
YouTube
disappointing.
channel citations.
Honestly, that tracks to me. It's not one of the. It's not, in my opinion. It's not one of my top favorites. But in fairness, I have loved
Yeah, check
every
the
one
wiki to see.
of. Fair enough. I have personally been on record stating that as far as Zelda games go, all of the main console 3D Zelda games.
Okay,
Rank,
Wikipedia's got a better
okay,
reception, so I'll give you some of that.
okay.
So,
I'll wrap up real quick on this on what I'm saying, then finish my thought.
okay,
I personally rank the full 3D Zelda games on the main consoles in my top lists of Zelda games over the handhelds and the old school 2D ones. But that's because to me, the story had so much more depth in all of the console games over the original 2D games. And that's not to discount the storytelling in them or in the handheld games, because like Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, all those the 3DS and the DS games were very good and had a lot of depth of story. But I just felt like the depth of story is far deeper in the main console titles. Go ahead.
okay. So reception. Some of this might repeat from the previous um, segment or what we got from the Zelda wiki, but 93 out of 100 on Metacritic with based on 81 reviews. It was the site's 10th high scoring game of 2011, ranked as the 6th best reviewed Wii game.
Mm.
Also received perfect scores from IGN, Eurogamer, Game Informer, Edge, and VideoGamer.com. Famitsu, however you want to pronounce that, praised the overworld and gameplay. One reviewer felt that it would form a new standard for the Zelda series and video games as a whole. Edge was positive about all aspects aside from the player-driven upgrade system, and even then it was not enough to spoil the experience for the reviewer. Let's see. Ray I'm not even going to pronounce that name because I've already failed twice. Electronic Gaming Monthly appreciated the game's nostalgic value, but found the motion control difficult to handle and kept the game from being truly great. OneUp.com praised the developers for putting effort into moving away from Zelda tradition and called it one of the better games in the series, but said that those detrimental elements that remained, such as side quests and some item usage, made Skyward Sword a weird middle ground filled with genuine surprises, inessential carryovers, and copy-paste quest structures, end quote. Let's see.
Mojo says Algra here looks like they were wearing a new sorting hat from Harry Potter. That's I think that character's name is Impa, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so
that might be a spoiler.
Yeah. I'll go into some of the awards really quick, and then we can move on to the next segment. Let's see, Edgy. Let's see. Don't know who Short Round was there in the red cap, but I called them Augur from Dark Crystal. Okay, IGN's Best of 2011 award. It was awarded Best Game, Best Graphics, Best Sound, Best Story. It also given Reader's Choice Award in the Best Overall Game category. Similar awards from Digital Trends. RP Gamers, see. RP Gamers own Best of 2011 awards named Skyward Sword Best Console and PC Game and awarded it for Best Music. Also received Game of the Year awards from Electronic Gaming Monthly, GameSpot, Edge, and Nintendo Power. It received Excellence and Most Valuable Character awards from Famitsu, later being awarded to the protagonist Link at the Spike Video Game Awards in 2011. Wow, that's a callback. Game Best Wii Game and Best Motion Game.
That was kind of an unfair category considering, there wasn't much by the way of motion games back then.
Yeah. In 2012, it received multiple nominations at the 15th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards. I guess I'll read some of the Game of the Year, Adventure Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Gameplay Engineering. It got Best Game Design from Game Developers Choice Awards, and the 8th British Academy Games Awards gave it Best Game, Game Innovation and Fan Voted Game Award of 2011. I think that's how that reads. All right, but anyways, back to so we have a couple of options here for what we can get into next, since we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah, less than 15 minutes.
There's actually a fair amount of trivia here, or we can go into like what some of the characters were, bosses, enemies, dungeons, locations, translations, credits, glitches. Ooh, glitches kind of intrigues me, but anyone got a vote? I'll read the list again. Characters, bosses, enemies, dungeons, locations, items, translations, credits, glitches, or trivia. Any votes?
I have no problem with talking about glitches. That sounds fun.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go look at the glitches really quick. Let's see. Ooh, sequence breaking. Doing something out of the order of the game was meant to be played. This can include getting items early and skipping items or entire parts of the game.
Sequence breaking is it's something that was and this is funny because I'm going to call back to the Umtacular, because that's something that was introduced in games due to Metroidvanias. I say Metroidvania because it's a composite of Castlevania and Metroid. They are very similar style games. They were side scrollers with moving maps for progression. You'd have to collect certain items in order to progress farther in the game, and then use certain items and certain weapons to defeat certain enemies so you could advance the game, so on and so forth. Sequence breaking was introduced in that unintentionally originally, and it later led to developers actually putting in certain games the opportunity to sequence break as kind of a callback or a head nod to that, and it would allow you to either circumvent certain fights or um, make certain encounters easier. This is I'm not sure about the sequence breaks in Skyward Sword, but
Well, list them here.
yeah, but
There's like
I
in
think
Early Lake,
that
Florida. There's a Scrapper Instant Warp.
yeah.
Um, Nothing significant about like the impact. Like there's more detail in here than I probably should read. Spoilers. But it mentions a couple of them here. And then miscellaneous glitches. Back in time effect. Play on the title screen, which leads to many other sub glitches.
And Mojo
Leave the
states
logo up for too long.
Mojo says, "Ugh, soft lock because of an out of sequence event is the worst for me." Uh, Typically, those sequence breaks that I refer to that end up staying in games tends to be the good ones that allow you to cheese a boss or something like that.
So there's a back in time glitch. There's a back in time wrong warp glitch. There's invisible bilosite. Song of the Hero game ending error.
Ooh, what's the song of the Hero one? Because that's the one that
Locks the game and prevents the player from progressing.
oh, that's it. That's all it says.
Yeah, that's all it says. It says how to, but I'm not going to read into that part.
Right.
Well, the effect warp to I'll go back and so back in time effect play on the title screen, which leads to many other sub glitches. Back in time wrong warp to many various locations in the game. Sometimes you will end up out of bounds, falling in a void, or skipping half or more of the dungeon. Let's see. The invisible bilosite one, self-explanatory. Song of the Hero game ending error locks the game, prevents player from progressing. Clean cut minigame rupee counting error prevents Link from playing Pater's clean cut minigame despite having enough rupees. Pot in pole hides a jar in a pole. Ladder leap. Link leaps through the floor. Game freeze. That's self-explanatory. Bird statue soft lock prevents the game player from progressing to the Laneru Gorge.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we got a few minutes. Let me parse the trivia, see if there's anything interesting or funny in there.
Where's an external accessory?
Despite being a Wii game, Skyward Sword only runs at 16 by 9 widescreen, even with the full screen setting for the Wii on. In the event that the Wii's default full screen mode is on while playing the game, the image is displayed in letterbox format so as not to inconvenience those without widescreen televisions. Let's see. American art box art contains Hylian language from Twilight Princess. Even though Skyward Sword introduces a new Hylian language, Twilight Princess Hylian is also scarcely featured within the game. Let's see. Mojo says, what I need is an open world exploration with quests that don't punish me for exploring said open world and finding stuff out of sequence. That's almost most games these days. Like they'll have like places you can't enter because you don't have the skill unlocked. I saw that a lot in Star Wars. Which one was it?
Jedi Survivor?
Survivor. Yeah, that was it. I'm actually thinking about downloading and playing those games again since it's been a while. Let's see. Game ending glitch occurs if the quest. We did that. Skyward Sword is the first 3D Zelda game on a home console where day and night do not alternate on their own. The only way for time to progress in the game is by having Link sleep on a bed in Skyloft. Finally, this is the first Zelda game and the first 3D Zelda title to have run feature without the need for an item such as Pegasus boots. This was also the first Zelda game in the series to feature a stamina meter.
That tracks. Yep, I remember that. Not sure if I enjoy the stamina meter ever since, but it's there. It seems to have been there. Yeah, I say so for our conclusion to the Skyward Sword episodes, what does our audience think? Do you think you would be interested in playing Skyward Sword? Do you think that it's a hard pass for you? Comment, like, subscribe.
Follow, all that. Buttons, push them. I should probably go do that on YouTube. There. Liked.
Oh yeah.
It's bad for me to like my own stuff, but I can go over to
Just push
Laggin
buttons.
Rumble and yeah. So I think we are ready for the closeout segment where we plug our stuff.
Ah, shameless self plugs. Yes.
Woo.
So, folks, you can check us out on lagginout.com. Unlike with when Chieftain is around, you can watch us with your mom. You know, his favorite
Not
saying.
them, just us.
Yeah. We don't get a little questionable like they do. Right, Soda? Yes, click on all the things. So you can check us out on lagginout.com. We have various articles that we tend to write there on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and it's my turn. I'm just remembering.
Shame on me for not reminding you. But that being said, always feel free to read them. Let us know if you like them. Please comment on them. And by all means, I'm going to go ahead and tease that there is a coming soon feature on lagginout.com that very well might interest numerous people, including various classes on aspects of content creation. Not specifically YouTube or anything like that, but content in general. That's coming, I think, this fall. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me because I might get slapped for saying anything. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and plug my good friend Kiori. She's streaming on the Laggin' Out channel on Wednesdays after, I want to say at 8 p.m. Eastern. Not 100% sure on that one. She's gonna probably slap me with the time here in a second herself. And then check out Mariner on Thursdays playing Satisfactory.
Yep, but before then, tune in tomorrow for Satisfactory gameplay. 5 o'clock Eastern time on Deep Dive Gaming. We are setting up a train to transport our motors because we got our new motor factory finished yesterday and powered up. So we can start shipping that off to another location to combine with other parts to create one of the project parts to complete the game. Hopefully we can get that done before I go on vacation.
Now that would be a nice little fun goal right there.
Yeah, I'm going to be probably playing the heck out of Satisfactory tomorrow amongst all the other things I've got planned tomorrow.
That's right. That's
Um,
right. And it looks like Mojo's having an argument with Botrix. Speaking of another teaser, the Laggin Out Spreadshirt store is going to be closing down very soon. Very, very soon. In fact, I need to have a conversation with our merchandise girl and see where she stands on that, see if she needs any help with it. Because the merch store for Laggin Out is very soon going to be moving to lagginout.com directly.
Whew.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah,
So
don't forget to tune in Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time for the Lagging Out Live. I
got some
might be
links.
lingering. I might be lingering in the chat while I wait for my flight. We'll have to see. But and next week, no stream for me. Not even stream of consciousness.
That's right.
So because I will be out and having fun and spending time away from home for the first time in
Too many years.
many years. Yes.
Oh.
So I think that's a good spot to sign off.
So until next time, as Mariner sometimes says, enjoy Zelda. And this has been Hiro and the Mariner lagging out and signing off. Do your
I was
catchphrase.
signing off and logging out.
Ah.
And hope to see y'all tomorrow night. Until then, again, enjoy Zelda. Fair winds and fun gaming, y'all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.